If the 10 Commandments matter, why disobey one? The 10 Commandments, engraved by the very finger of God upon tablets of stone, not written by man, not whispered in secret, but thundered from Mount Sinai amidst fire and smoke, the voice of God declaring his law to all humanity, echoing through time, unchanging, unyielding, eternal. We teach our children to honor their father and mother. We expect society to respect life, to not kill. We agree that stealing is wrong, that lying is destructive, that adultery ruins families. We uphold the sanctity of truth and the value of respect. But when it comes to the 4th commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, suddenly there's silence. Suddenly it becomes negotiable. I challenge you, pastors, priests, imams, skeptics, and non-believers alike. How can you stand in your pulpits, in your mosques, in your temples, and speak of morality, yet ignore one of the very commandments you claim to believe? How can you preach against stealing, lying, and adultery while sweeping God's holy Sabbath under the rug of tradition? But that's Old Testament, you say. We're under grace, not law. But I ask you, does grace erase the need to honor your father and mother? Does grace permit you to kill, to steal, or to lie? Paul declared in Romans 3:31, "Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yea, we establish the law." Grace does not abolish God's commandments, it empowers us to keep them. The Sabbath was not an afterthought. It was established at creation, long before Sinai, long before there was even a Jew upon the earth. Genesis chapter 2:2-3 says, "And on the 7th day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it." Did you catch that? He blessed it. He sanctified it. He set it apart as holy, not just for the Jews, but for all mankind. Jesus himself said in Mark 2:27, "The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath." Not just for the Jews, not just for the Old Testament, but for man, all of humanity. And yet, tradition has crept in. Men with their own agendas, their own authority, have sought to change what God himself declared holy. Daniel 7:25 prophesied that this power would think to change times and laws. And it happened. In 321 AD, Emperor Constantine enforced Sunday as the day of rest, blending Christianity with pagan sun worship. The Catholic Church followed, openly declaring, "Sunday is our mark of authority. The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact." Do you follow God's word or man's tradition? Do you cling to what God sanctified, or do you bow to the authority of men who dare to change his law? Isaiah 58:13-14 calls us back. "If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord." If the 10 Commandments matter, why disobey one? Why turn your back on the very commandment God calls us to remember? It is the only commandment that begins with that word, because he knew we would forget. I challenge you today. Search the Scriptures. Look for yourself. You will find no verse that changes the Sabbath to Sunday. None. It is tradition, man's tradition, that stands against God's law. And when the final test comes, it will be a question of loyalty. Will you follow God or will you follow men?